Yo, Wagwan everybody, my name is Prospect, and it seems you want to make your way to the top ranks of Fortnite. Well, I got you in this video. In this video, I'll be telling you everything you need to know about how to hit Unreal. Last season, I managed to hit Unreal in just about every mode, so in today's video, I'm going to be telling you what I learned in the process, and I'm also going to be playing some rank to show some gameplay as well. So, let's begin. Also, ignore how terrible my voice sounds, I just caught a cold and I feel terrible. But anyways, the first subject that I want to touch on today is strategy versus mechanics. Because you see a lot of good players struggle to hit Unreal, and that isn't because they're not good enough, it's because their strategy isn't in line with their skill level. And so what I'm saying here is that you don't have to be a good player to hit Unreal. All it takes is a good strategy and probably about 20-30% mechanics. So first thing I'm going to go into is what makes a good strategy. For a good strategy, what you're going to need is a good drop, a good rotation path, and you have to get a loadout that suits you. Because a lot of players get impatient and they just want to rank up, so they hot drop with places they're not too familiar with, and of course they die off spawn. But the right course of action to take is to land somewhere that you're familiar with. Like last season for me, I got really familiar with Doom's Courtyard. I knew where every single chest was, every floor loot spawn was, so when I was taking fights, I knew exactly what I was doing and I knew exactly where to find loot. So even if it is a little more boring at first, if you pick a drop that suits you and that you're familiar with, you have a huge, way higher chance of success in ranked. But of course, depending on your skill level, you could pick a more contested or a less contested drop, depending on your comfortability with early game fights. But just keep in mind that an early game fight means you are depending on the loot that you get. So make sure you're landing somewhere where you know where to find loot. Okay, but now that you figured out where you want to drop, let's talk about your rotations. Rotations and knowing how to rotate is something that is very important in every mode of Fortnite because the key mechanic of the game is the zone. And this especially becomes ever so important in zero build ranks. Because you need to know how to position yourself to take fights better, and you have to know how to position yourself to not take fights you don't need to take. So rotations take a lot of strategy. Like for example, I landed Doom's Courtyard, then I would rotate up to the pad, push through Doom's Castle to get the medal, and then I would push to the Forecast Tower to see the next zone. You see what I mean? I had some strategy behind my rotation every game, so that I knew exactly where I was going, exactly where I could find mats, and the spaces where I could take a fight from high ground. But now let's move on to talk about your loadouts, because you've got your drop right, and you know how to rotate in which fights to take and which fights not to take. Let's talk about your loadout. When you're in solos, you've got to get something that works for you good. Don't take an item just because it looks fun or just because it's golden. Take items that are reliable, that you know you perform well with. Me personally, I knew I performed better with the Twin Uzis, so I carried them. You get what I'm saying? Stay consistent, stay familiar, keep the weapons you're good with, drop the ones you're not. And make sure in your loadout to have a good balance of weapons, short and long range, heals, and mobility. Because mobility becomes ever so crucial in the late games. Which is my final point of this video. Because if you know how to get a good drop, how to rotate, and how to pick your loadouts accordingly, all that's left for you now is to perform in the late game. In the late game, it gets seriously hectic, and the way to play it changes with every zone. But you've got to make sure you're getting refreshes, piecing off the right kills, not putting yourself in bad positions, essentially all of the same tips from earlier this video, just in full force. But also, if you do duos, you've got to make sure you have a good chemistry with your duo. And if you do squads, you've just got to make sure you've got good teammates. Because duos is very competitive, and you've got to have a good chem with your duo to do good. And squads is probably the easiest mode to rank up in. So if you want to rank up very easily, get a good squad. Shout out Crazy Key, Turnt, you know what I'm saying, all the OGs on the channel. And like I said, I managed to hit Unreal in most of the game modes last season. So if you do have any questions, make sure to just comment them down below, you feel me? Because I'm a little bit well versed in the whole ranked grind. But if there is one major takeaway that I want you to take from today's video, is that it's strategy over mechanics. Of course, good mechanics will carry you a long way, but they do nothing without a good strategy. So make sure to have a good strategy and have good mechanics, and you will be able to move forward very greatly in your rank. So, good luck with your grind. My name is Prospect. If today's video helped you, make sure to drop a sub, and I'll see y'all in the next one.